Have you ever noticed how some women seem untouchable? How no matter what you do, no matter how much effort you give, she remains distant, cold, or indifferent. Most men panic, overreact, or try to fix the situation, and fail every time. But here's the secret no one tells you: you don't need to fight her ego. You don't need to argue, chase, or prove yourself. In fact, the more you try, the stronger it becomes. The truth is counterintuitive: her ego isn't broken by force. It's softened by your emotional mastery, your calm, and your refusal to be swayed. And once you understand this, you unlock a power few men ever experience: the ability to make her respect, desire, and choose you, without ever manipulating or demanding it. In this video, I'll show you how to dismantle her ego, not with games, but with Stoic presence. Welcome to the Stoic Love Wisdom channel. This is where we share lessons about love, real-life experiences and tips for building strong relationships. In today's video, I will share with you how to break down her ego. These may be things you have never thought of. If you are looking for a deeper understanding of love and how to develop relationships, don't miss this video. Before watching the video, find a quiet space and put on your headphones to feel every word I am about to share. Relax and enjoy this journey with me. Are you ready to start this journey? Let's begin. Part 1. The illusion of her ego: why you don't need to fight it. I've loved women who thought they were untouchable. Not because they were cruel, but because life had never forced them to bend. They were admired, desired, listened to. Men adjusted themselves around her moods. Men tried harder, explained more, gave more. And over time, something quietly grew inside her. An ego. Not the loud, arrogant kind, but the subtle kind. The kind that whispers, "I don't need to try. He won't leave. I can pull away, and he'll step closer." Most men make the same mistake when facing a woman like this. They try to break her ego. They argue. They correct her. They demand respect. They prove they're right. And every single time, they lose. Because ego is not destroyed by force. It is dissolved by absence. This is where Stoic love begins. Her ego is not the enemy, your reaction is. Here's the truth most men never accept. Her ego exists because it has been rewarded. She learned it works. She learned that silence makes men anxious. Distance makes men chase. Indifference makes men overinvest. So when you react emotionally, when you explain yourself, justify yourself, or chase clarity, you don't weaken her ego. You feed it. Stoicism teaches something uncomfortable but powerful. We suffer not from events, but from our judgments about them. Her behavior is not the problem. Your interpretation of it is. A woman only holds power over you when you need her approval. You fear her withdrawal. You attach your worth to her response. The moment you stop reacting, something strange happens. She feels it. Why men who care less are respected more? Let me be clear. Stoic love is not about playing games. It's not about being cold, distant, or manipulative. It's about emotional self-sufficiency. A man who does not collapse emotionally when a woman pulls away creates psychological gravity. Why? Because humans, especially women, are deeply sensitive to emotional imbalance. When she expects a reaction, and gets calm. Pursuit, and gets patience. Insecurity, and gets grounded silence. Her mind starts searching. What changed? Why isn't he affected? Is he still interested, or already at peace? This confusion is not cruelty. It is the natural result of a man who no longer overinvests. And this is how ego cracks, not loudly, but quietly. The Stoic rule. Never compete with her power. Here's a hard lesson I learned too late in life. You cannot overpower a woman emotionally. But you can outgrow her need to dominate. The moment you try to win arguments, expose her behavior, demand effort, you step into her frame. Stoicism says, the wise man does not struggle with what he cannot control. You cannot control her emotions. You cannot force humility. You cannot demand self-awareness. But you can control your availability, your emotional investment, your standards. And standards are terrifying to unchecked ego. The first crack, emotional non-dependency. Most men think attraction is built through effort. Stoic men understand something deeper. Attraction is built through self-containment. When a woman realizes you enjoy her, but do not need her. You value connection, but not at the cost of dignity. You are calm whether she stays or leaves. Her ego faces a mirror it cannot escape. Because ego survives on leverage. And you just removed yours. You stop chasing explanations. You stop asking for reassurance. You stop reacting to every shift in her mood. Not because you don't care. But because you care about yourself more. Why silence is not weakness, it's structure. Silence is misunderstood. Men think silence is losing. Women feel silence as uncertainty. And uncertainty destabilizes ego faster than confrontation ever could. Not dramatic silence. Not punishment silence. But grounded, peaceful silence. The kind that says, I'm okay either way. That kind of silence doesn't scream insecurity. It whispers strength. And ego hates strength it cannot provoke. The Stoic foundation you must build first. Before you even think about breaking her ego, ask yourself. Do I have a life that fulfills me without her? Can I walk away calmly if respect disappears? Do I regulate my emotions, or do they control me? Because if you still need her validation, no technique will work. Stoicism is not a strategy. It is a state of being. And only from that state does real power emerge. Final thought of part 1. Her ego is not shattered by confrontation. It dissolves when it realizes you are not the center of his emotional world. In the next part, we'll talk about the moment she starts testing you. And why most men fail exactly where Stoic men remain unshaken. Because the true test always comes after you stop reacting. And how you handle that moment determines whether her ego tightens or finally lets go. Love, like a mirror that reflects ourselves. When you learn to love, you are also learning to look back at yourself. What are your strengths? What are the wounds that need to be healed? And understanding yourself will help you understand the other person more deeply. That is also the reason I share on this channel, to help you see love as a journey to nurture your soul. If you find these things meaningful, click like to spread that value. And if this is your first time coming to the channel, don't forget to click subscribe with the notification bell, so we can always accompany each other in the next lessons. Leave a comment below, share your true feelings after listening to this part. Who knows, your little story may touch the heart of someone in need. Now, let's continue on the next part of this journey. Part 2. The tests begin, how her ego tries to regain control. The moment you stop reacting the way she expects, something inside her shifts. Not consciously. Instinctively. A woman's ego does not collapse quietly. It tests. And if you don't understand these tests, you'll mistake them for rejection. And undo everything you've built. I've seen this pattern repeat for decades. Every time a man becomes emotionally grounded. Every time he stops chasing, explaining, or proving himself. The tests begin. Why she tests you when you pull back. Let's be honest. Her ego was comfortable when you were predictable. You sought reassurance. You adjusted yourself around her moods. But now, you're calm. You're less reactive. You're still present, but not desperate. This creates a threat. Not to her feelings, but to her leverage. So she tests to answer one question. Do I still have power over him? These tests are not evil. They are human. And Stoic men don't panic when they appear. Test number 1, emotional withdrawal. This is the most common test. She becomes colder. Replies slower. Shares less. She wants to see if you'll chase. Ask, what's wrong? Overcompensate with effort. Most men fail here. They mistake distance for danger. The Stoic response. You don't mirror her coldness. And you don't chase her warmth. You stay consistent. Calm. Respectful. Unrushed. You allow space, without resentment. And here's the paradox. Space weakens ego. When it doesn't weaken you. Test number 2, provocation and disrespect, subtle. When distance doesn't work, ego escalates. She might challenge your decisions. Make sarcastic comments. Lightly disrespect your boundaries. Not enough to cause a fight. Just enough to see if you'll bend. This is where weak men argue. Stoic men observe. They respond without emotion, or not at all. They don't explain their standards. They enforce them through behavior. A calm boundary hits harder than any argument. I don't engage with this. No anger. No lecture. Just quiet certainty. And certainty terrifies ego. Test number 3, the jealousy trigger. Sometimes she'll mention another man. Casually. Strategically. She wants to see if you feel threatened. If you do, she regains control. If you don't, something breaks. The Stoic man understands this. Jealousy is an admission of fear. So he doesn't compete. He doesn't interrogate. He doesn't react. He stays grounded in this truth. What is meant to stay will stay without force. And suddenly, she feels exposed. The key principle, never explain your calm. Here's where most men sabotage themselves. They try to explain their behavior. I'm just busy. I'm not ignoring you. I still care. Explanation is emotional leakage. Stoic love teaches restraint. Your calm does not need justification. Your peace is not a negotiation. The more you explain, the more you confirm that her reaction still matters too much. Silence, when rooted in self-respect, is louder than reassurance. Why ego hates emotional independence? Her ego was built on one assumption. You would feel more than she does. When that assumption dies, ego loses its footing. Because ego requires imbalance. And now the balance is gone. You don't withdraw to punish. You don't engage to please. You remain centered. And centered men are difficult to manipulate. The moment she starts watching you closely. Here's something few men notice. During these tests, she watches you more than ever. Your tone. Your timing. Your energy. She's not losing interest. She's recalibrating. Trying to understand. Are you truly stable? Or is this an act? Will you crack under pressure? Stoic men pass because they're not acting. They are simply aligned with themselves. A critical warning. Stoicism is not emotional numbness. You still feel. But you don't leak emotion in moments of uncertainty. You don't hand your emotional state to someone who is testing your frame. You stay warm, not weak. Present, not pleading. This balance is rare. And rarity creates value. What happens if you fail the tests? Let's be honest. If you chase during these tests, her ego inflates. Respect erodes. The dynamic resets, worse than before. She doesn't think. He cares. She thinks. I still control him. And once a woman believes that, desire slowly dies. Final thought of part 2. Her tests are not rejection. They are confirmation checks. And how you respond tells her everything. In the next part, we'll explore the exact moment her ego begins to soften. When she stops testing and starts opening. Because when ego loses control, vulnerability quietly takes its place. And only a stoic man knows how to receive it, without destroying it. Part 3. When her ego softens, the shift most men misread. There is a moment. Quiet, almost invisible. When a woman's ego stops fighting. Not because she lost, but because she no longer needs to win. Most men miss this moment. They mistake it for weakness. They push too hard. They say too much. And they destroy the very trust they work to create. A stoic man recognizes the shift. And responds with restraint. How ego actually breaks, from the inside. Ego doesn't collapse through humiliation. It dissolves when it feels safe enough to let go. After the tests. After the distance, after the silent observations. She begins to sense something new. Stability. Not control. Not dominance. But grounded presence. She realizes. You're not trying to overpower her. You're not trying to prove anything. You're simply solid. This creates emotional relief. And emotional relief is dangerous to ego. The signs her ego is softening. She may not say it directly. Instead, you'll notice subtle changes. She initiates contact more often. Her tone becomes warmer, less guarded. She asks questions about your life. She seeks your opinion, not to challenge, but to connect. These are not coincidences. They are signals. Signals that her ego is stepping aside. To make room for vulnerability. Why most men ruin this phase? This is where inexperienced men get excited. They think. She's opening up, now I can relax. So they overshare emotions. Seek reassurance. Reinvest too quickly. Drop their boundaries. And suddenly, the old dynamic returns. Because vulnerability needs structure. And Stoicism provides it. The Stoic response to her vulnerability. When she opens up, you don't interrogate. You don't try to fix her feelings. You listen. Calmly. Fully. Without judgment. You don't mirror her emotional intensity. You contain it. I understand. That makes sense. I hear you. Simple. Grounded. Present. This creates something powerful. Emotional safety without dependency. And this is where ego truly dissolves. Why she starts trusting you more than before. Her ego kept her protected. It kept her superior. Detached. In control. But control is exhausting. When she realizes. She doesn't need to perform. She doesn't need to test. She doesn't need to dominate. Her nervous system relaxes. And relaxed people bond deeply. Not out of fear, but out of choice. A critical Stoic principle: don't claim the win. Here's a dangerous temptation. You might feel, I've finally changed the dynamic. The moment you claim that internally, you lose it. Stoicism warns against pride. Pride is the shadow of insecurity. You don't take credit. You don't remind her of the past. You let the shift exist naturally. Because ego doesn't like being reminded of its defeat. It likes being irrelevant. The masculine energy that holds space. There's a kind of masculinity that doesn't need to dominate. It leads through calm. It holds space without suffocating. It allows closeness without fear. This is the masculinity that dissolves ego. Because it doesn't threaten identity. It offers peace. And peace is irresistible to a tired ego. What she's feeling, but won't say. Inside, she's thinking, I don't need to fight here. I don't feel judged. I can relax around him. This is rare. And rarity creates attachment. Not obsession. Attachment rooted in safety. Your only job in this phase. Remain unchanged. Not colder. Not warmer. Just consistent. Consistency is the language of trust. And trust is where ego goes to die quietly. Final thought of part 3. When her ego softens, don't rush to deepen. Let depth come to you. In the next part, we'll talk about the moment she gives emotional control back to you. Not because you demanded it, but because she chooses to. And why this is the most dangerous moment for a man who has not mastered himself. Love is actually like a mirror reflecting the inner self. When we are calm enough, we will realize that every challenge, every silence carries a valuable lesson. And that is what I want to convey through each story on this channel. If you feel that these shares bring value, please leave a like to support the channel. And don't forget to subscribe, because who knows, one day, just a small idea from these videos can change the way you look at love, at yourself. Let's continue with me, because there are many interesting things waiting for you to discover. Part 4. When emotional power returns to you, the most dangerous moment. There comes a moment when you feel it. The dynamic has changed. She listens more. She explains herself. She checks in. She cares how you feel. This is not luck. This is the natural outcome of a man who remained centered when she was uncertain. But here's the truth few men are prepared for. This is the most dangerous phase of all. Not because she will hurt you, but because you might hurt yourself. When her ego steps aside completely. At this stage, her ego no longer leads. She's not testing. She's not pulling away. She's not trying to dominate. Instead, she's offering something rare. Emotional availability. And this is where weak men overcorrect. They finally feel chosen. So they seek reassurance. Overattach. Become emotionally exposed. Abandon their inner discipline. And slowly, the balance tilts again. Why power is returned, not taken. A Stoic man never takes power. He becomes the kind of man to whom power is offered. She gives emotional leverage back because she trusts your stability. She respects your boundaries. She feels safe in your presence. But power given can be taken away the moment it is abused. And abuse doesn't mean cruelty. It means neediness. The silent test you don't see coming. Even now, there is one final test. It is not obvious. She watches weather. You remain calm when she opens up. You still have a full life. You stay grounded when things feel good. Most men fail here. They relax their standards. They make her the emotional center again. And ego quietly returns. Stoic discipline in moments of comfort. Stoicism teaches something crucial. Ease reveals character more than hardship. Anyone can be disciplined under pressure. But only a stoic man remains disciplined in comfort. You continue to prioritize your purpose. Regulate your emotions. Speak calmly, not excessively. Maintain your boundaries without rigidity. You don't disappear into the relationship. You invite her into your life. There's a difference. The balance between warmth and strength. At this stage, warmth is appropriate. But warmth without strength turns into emotional dependency. You offer presence, not pursuit. Interest, not obsession. Affection, not reassurance seeking. This balance keeps ego dormant. Because ego thrives in imbalance. Why she respects you more than ever. She sees something now. You didn't change to win her. You didn't become reactive when you had power. You remained the same man. Regardless of emotional position. This creates deep respect. And respect is the foundation of lasting attraction. The masculine mistake, emotional overexposure. Sharing emotions is healthy. Dumping them is not. A stoic man shares selectively. He does not seek validation through vulnerability. Overshare insecurities. Make her responsible for his emotional state. He owns his emotions. And ownership keeps power balanced. When you know the dynamic is healthy, you'll notice. Conversations flow without tension. Disagreements don't threaten connection. Silence feels comfortable, not anxious. Affection is mutual, not strategic. This is not dominance. This is harmony. And harmony is the death of ego. Final thought of part 4. When emotional power returns to you, do not grasp it. Hold it lightly. Because true power is not control. It is self-mastery. In the final part, we'll talk about how to sustain this dynamic long-term, without slipping into old patterns. Because stoic love is not a phase. It is a way of living. Part 5. Beyond ego, when love becomes a conscious choice. At the end of every power shift, there is a question. Not spoken, but felt. Who are we now, without the struggle? This is where most relationships either mature or quietly decay. Because when ego disappears, there is nothing left to hide behind. When there is no one left to win against, her ego is no longer guarding her. Your need for validation is no longer driving you. There is no chase. No tests. No leverage. Only two people standing clearly in front of each other. And clarity is confronting. Because now, love is no longer emotional survival. It is choice. Stoic love is not about attachment, it is about alignment. Most people don't love. They attach. They cling to familiarity, emotional comfort, fear of loss. Stoic love asks a harder question. If I did not need you, would I still choose you? And when both people can answer, yes, honestly, ego has no place to live. Because ego thrives on fear. And fear is gone. The calm that replaces intensity. Hollywood teaches intensity. Stoicism teaches peace. This phase may feel quieter. Less dramatic. Less addictive. But deeper. Here, affection is not used to regulate anxiety. Connection is not proof of worth. You don't need constant reassurance. And neither does she. This calm is not boredom. It is emotional maturity. Why this kind of love is rare. Most people cannot live without ego. They don't know who they are without it. Ego gives identity, control, protection. But it also creates distance. Stoic love removes the armor. And without armor, only truth remains. Many people run from that. What you must continue to practice. Even here, discipline remains. You continue to live a purpose-driven life. Regulate emotions internally. Communicate directly, not defensively. Walk away from disrespect calmly. Not because you fear losing her, but because you respect yourself. And self-respect is the soil in which healthy love grows. When love is no longer a battlefield, there is no longer manipulation, emotional tug-of-war, power games. Disagreements happen, but they are not threats. Silence happens, but it is not punishment. Space happens, but it does not create fear. This is not passionless love. This is secure love. The final ego to let go of, yours. Here is the final lesson few men accept. You don't break her ego. You outgrow your own. Her transformation happened. Because you stopped needing control. Because you stopped fearing loss. Because you stopped outsourcing your worth. And in doing so, you gave her permission to do the same. A Stoic man's definition of love. Love is not possession. Love is not leverage. Love is not emotional hunger. Love is presence without fear. Commitment without attachment. Strength without dominance. And peace without indifference. If she stays, let it be voluntary. A Stoic man does not hold on. He opens his hand. If she stays, it is because she chooses you. Not because she needs you. And that is the only kind of love worth keeping. Final thought, the end of ego is the beginning of truth. When ego dies, truth begins. And truth does not shout. It sits quietly between two people who no longer need to prove anything. That is Stoic love. Not dramatic. Not desperate. Not controlling. Just solid. Just real. Just chosen, every day. Conclusion. You never broke her ego, you transcended it. In the end, the truth is simple. You didn't defeat her ego. You didn't outsmart it. You didn't overpower it. You became irrelevant to it. Her ego existed because it had something to push against. Your fear, your need, your reactions. The moment you removed those, there was nothing left for ego to feed on. Stoic love is not about control. It is about clarity. Clarity about who you are. Clarity about what you tolerate. Clarity about walking away without resentment. When a man no longer negotiates his self-worth, he becomes emotionally immovable. And nothing dissolves ego faster than someone who cannot be provoked. You didn't grow colder. You grew calmer. You didn't love less. You loved without attachment. And in that space, something rare happened. She stopped performing. She stopped testing. She stopped defending. Because there was no longer a power struggle. Only presence. If she stayed, it was because she chose you. Not because she needed you. And if she left, you remained whole. That is the quiet strength of Stoic love. Not dramatic. Not manipulative. Not desperate. Just a man who mastered himself. And, in doing so, made ego unnecessary. And that, more than any technique, is what changes everything. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. I hope you have found useful lessons about love and relationships. If you find this video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. I really appreciate your support and will continue to bring valuable content in the next videos. Please continue to accompany me on my journey to learn about love and relationships. See you again and wish you happiness.